Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the November 2024 Life Sciences Paper 2. We're going to completely dissect it question by question so you know exactly what the examiners are looking for and how you can nail it.
And yeah, a very special shout out to Mr. Chi's Grade 12 Life Sciences class. This one is for you. Let's make sure you walk into that exam feeling like you've got the inside scoop.
So, how are you feeling? I know this time of year is, a wild mix of nerves and excitement. You've put in all the hard work, you've studied the content, and now it's all about performing on the day. And that is exactly what we're going to focus on.
Okay, let's just get right into it. And the best part, we are not guessing here. We have the official marking guide, which is basically our secret weapon. Think of it as the ultimate cheat sheet for the test. It tells us exactly how to turn what you know into the most marks possible.
First up, Section A. I like to call this section the quick wins. This is where you build momentum. The questions are designed to be fast, so our goal is to bank those early marks, build up that confidence, and get ready for the tougher sections coming up.
Let's start with an absolute classic. Question 1.1.1. Which one of the following organelles is the site of protein synthesis? Take a second. Lock in your answer. You got it.
And the marking guide confirms it. A, ribosomes. Come on, you knew that one. Remember, ribosomes are the cell's little protein factories. That's their number one job. And knowing that cold is a guaranteed 2 marks. Easy. In the bag.
Okay, let's do another one. Question 1.1.5. A gradual change in the characteristics of a species over time. This sounds familiar, right? This is a huge concept. What are we talking about here?
Yep, it's D, biological evolution. And check out what the examiners did here. They just took a basic definition and flipped it into a multiple-choice question. This shows you just how important it is to know your terminology backwards and forwards, which actually brings us perfectly to the next part of Section A.
So, let's look at question 1.2. The marking guide is ruthless here. It demands absolute precision. For the term species, you can't just say a group of similar animals. Nope. The magic words, the ones that get you the marks, are interbreed and produce fertile offspring. Seriously, every single word counts.
And it's the exact same story for DNA profiling. The definition has to hit those key ideas. You're doing an analysis of DNA samples, and you're doing it to identify individuals or relationships. It's not just about what it is, but what it's for. That's the difference.
All right, let's shift gears into Section B and see how this whole precision thing gets even more important. This whole section is about interpretation. The examiners are going to throw diagrams, tables, and graphs at you to see if you can actually apply your knowledge to new information.
Okay, take a look at this blood group question. First, they ask for simple stuff you can just pull from the table. But then, they hit you with the explanation question. To get those marks, you have to connect the dots. For a kid to have blood type B, they must get that recessive I allele from their type A father, which means he has to be heterozygous, and the IB allele from the type AB mother. See? The marking guide lays out that exact chain of logic for the full 5 marks.
And that need for precision applies to drawing stuff too, like this bar chart. Just look at how the marks are broken down in the guide. You get a mark for a correct title, 1 for each labeled axis, 1 for the scale, and 2 for plotting the bars right. If you miss any of those little technical details, you're just throwing away marks. But if you get them right, it's an easy 6 points.
All right, now for the part that I know can be a little intimidating for some of you, the genetic puzzles. But listen, they are not scary if you just follow a clear, step-by-step method every single time. Let's use the muscular dystrophy problem to see how it's done. First, we decode the pedigree diagram. We're told it's an X-linked recessive disorder. So looking at the chart, we can figure out that individual 2 must be a carrier. Her genotype has to be XD-XD because she herself is unaffected, but she passed the allele to her son. And that's also the key to why males are more affected. They've only got 1 X chromosome, so they don't have a backup to mask that recessive allele.
Now for the big one, the 6-mark genetic cross. The marking guide is super picky about the format. You must show the parental phenotypes and genotypes. Then, you must show the gametes after meiosis. Do not skip these steps. They're literally free marks just for setting it up correctly.
Next up, fertilization. And your best friend for this part is the Punnett square. It's the perfect way to visualize every single possible combination for the offspring. When you lay it out like this, you make sure you don't miss anything, and you make your thinking crystal clear for the person marking your paper.
And finally,
You land the plane with the conclusion. We can see right there in a square, 1 out of the 4 boxes is X, D, Y, and affected male. So the final step is to just state the answer clearly. There's a 25% chance. That final, clear answer, backed up by all your structured work, is what gets you the full 6 marks. See? It's a system.
Okay, time for the final challenge, the long-form question. This is the boss level. This is where you bring everything together to show you have a really deep understanding of a process. It's less about a single right answer and more about building a solid logical argument.
And here's the question. Use Darwin's theory of natural selection to explain the development of immunity to cancer in these wolves. 7 marks are up for grabs. This is a perfect example of them testing if you can apply a big, core theory to a totally new situation.
Now check this out. The marking guide for this gives us a perfect 7-step checklist. It's basically a formula. 1. Start with variation in the population. 2. Note that some had a beneficial mutation for immunity. 3. Introduce the environmental pressure, the radiation. 4. State that those without the trait died. 5. The ones with the trait survived. 6. The survivors reproduced and passed on that good allele. And 7. Over time, the proportion of immune wolves increased. You hit those 7 points, you get to 7 marks. It's that simple. Follow the recipe.
So let's pull this all together into your exam strategy. First, read every question carefully. For definitions, be ridiculously precise. For genetic crosses, always show your structured working, PGF. Label absolutely everything on graphs and diagrams. And for those big essay questions, just use the keywords and the logic of the theory, just like we did for natural selection.
Look, this exam isn't some big, scary, unknown monster. It's a puzzle. It's a solvable puzzle, and every single question has a logical solution. After going through this, you have the tools and you have the strategies to solve it. You are so ready for this.
So, my final question for you is this. Thinking about everything we just covered, from those quick win definitions to that 7-mark essay, which question are you going to go back and absolutely master first? Get to it, and good luck.